decided to review Pixels, guys, because, you know, Pixels, Pixel Talk. Are you making any connections, guys? All right, so Pixels is a Happy Madison production. Happy Madison production, which stars Adam Sandler, Peter Dinklage, Kevin James, and Josh Gad, which is about the United States in the year 1982 sending a time capsule up into outer space for some odd reason. I mean, I don't understand why you would send it into outer space. I mean, why wouldn't you just, like, you know, keep it on Earth for, you know, future generations? But regardless, they send it into outer space where aliens come into contact with all the remnants of the time capsule, which have to do with video games. And the aliens take it as an invitation of war. And they go back to Earth and they verse Earth and all the classic video games from the 80s. Now, I was very weary about this film, but I really wanted to see it because, like, you know, I love video games, especially, you know, video games from the 80s. I love Pac-Man, especially Galaga. Galaga was my favorite. If they didn't have a Galaga reference in this movie, I was going to hate it. But they did! However, it did have Adam Sandler in it. And I don't really like Adam Sandler films. I mean, he was okay in the 90s, but Adam Sandler films today pretty much suck. And I also follow Rotten Tomatoes just to get a good idea of how a movie is going to be. And I kind of saw this coming because, you know, Happy Madison Productions. And the movie unfortunately got a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked. However, my friend Nick from Beyond the Small Screen was texting me and was telling me how he saw this movie and he actually thought it was good. And I was like, what? So I had to go see this movie to give you guys my opinion on it. And what did I think of Pixels? What did Corbin Stuckey of Pixel Talk think of Pixels? I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good for an Adam Sandler film. It was really, really good. Like I said, I love video games in general, especially the old stuff. And if you are looking for a movie that revolves around that time period, the 80s and, you know, the older video games, you are going to find it in this movie and you are going to absolutely love it. And if you're a guy from the 80s like my father was, I actually saw this movie with my father, you are going to love this movie. So many references in this movie. You got Pac-Man, you got Galaga, you got Centipede. There's so many in there. I lost count. Like, so many 80s references. You know, it's very possible that they included every 80s video game in this film. It could be very possible. There were so many, I lost count. Going into this and, you know, watching the trailers, obviously, I was somewhat confused as to why they picked the Adam Sandler gang to be in this movie. And as I was watching the film, you know, it somewhat made sense because this film isn't really a film for this generation of audience. This film is for honestly people from the 80s who really appreciate these games. And a lot of people from the 80s really like Adam Sandler. I mean, they're really familiar with Adam Sandler, like, especially from the early 90s. And older men, I have noticed, really like Adam Sandler despite his recent films. And it just made sense. Like, they brought in a familiar face into a movie like this based on 80s video games, and, you know, it made sense. And honestly, Adam Sandler is not even bad in this film. He's actually pretty genuinely funny, and, you know, I'd go beyond to say that, you know, this is his best film in probably a while. I mean, don't get me wrong, the film definitely has its problems because there's so many awesome scenes in the film that involve the video games coming to life and, you know, wreaking havoc in the United States. And it's just weird how we're seeing this, like, you know, awesome explosions, awesome Galaga scenes, awesome Pac-Man, you know, action, and it goes back to an Adam Sandler scene. I mean, it was just kind of like a weird balance, and I felt as though the movie was kind of confused on what it was trying to be. Like, was it trying to be, like, you know, something different? Was it trying to be another Adam Sandler's movie? And you kind of saw that in the middle of the film where it was like everything died down a little bit and they're just kind of like resting a little bit. You kind of saw that. But I will say the climax is the best part about this film, where all the video games come into one place in one city, and that is the best part of the film, I will say. Like I said, Adam Sandler was not bad at all. He was actually pretty funny in this film. Kevin James was pretty enjoyable in this film. He was Kevin James, but he was the president. Good job, Kevin James, for doing something different this time. Instead of being Kevin James, you were Kevin James, the president. Josh Gad was pretty hilarious for the most part. A little ridiculous at some parts, but you know, Josh Gad is, you know, Josh Gad, and you know, he's Olaf. You gotta love Josh Gad. He's Olaf. Peter Dinklage, oh my God, Peter Dinklage stole the show. Peter Dinklage was so hilarious in this. I mean, I know, like, you know, everyone loves Peter Dinklage from, like, you know, Game of Thrones and you know, X-Men Days of Future Past, but like, as a comedic role in this film, he stole the show, dudes. Like I said, though, it kind of does have problems with trying to like figure out what it is, and even though I would have loved to see a different cast involved with Pixels, maybe like, you know, the Seth Rogen gang, it just wouldn't have worked because Seth Rogen is somewhat a part of this modern generation. And with the 80s, I'm not saying that Adam Sandler, like, I don't think there was like really a lot of Adam Sandler movies in the 80s. I'm just saying people from the 80s recognize Adam Sandler, like a lot of older men like Adam Sandler as like, you know, a comedic actor. And that's why he was in this film, and it made total sense. Somebody actually told me to go see it in 3D. I did not go see it in 3D because of like, you know, time differences at my theater. And I was looking at this film and like, you know, all the different pixels that were like, you know, coming off the screen, like the cool special effects. I was wishing I was watching this in 3D because it was actually like really beautiful. Those parts in the film are actually the highlights of the film. I mean, the Adam Sandler parts are not that bad. I mean, they are kind of like, you know, the goofiness of the film and kind of like where the film goes downhill. But when we actually see the CGI and the computer-generated pixels and, you know, the video games coming on the screen, surprisingly, that is the highlight of the film. And I absolutely loved it. And I would go far as to say, like, I don't know, I don't want to be, like, taken really seriously here. I mean, this is just what I'm thinking kind of, like, right now. But, you know, it's kind of safe to say that this is the best video game movie I've seen so far. I mean, everything in the climax of the film, most definitely. I was wondering if it was gonna be that, but the climax of the film absolutely proved that. Where everything was like finally in the city and like, you know, we had all these characters. I started thinking to myself, wow, this is probably the best video game movie ever. And I don't want to be confused as to saying best video game adaptation movie ever, because this isn't an adaptation. This is actually an original movie. I will say that this is the best video game movie I have seen thus far, which is really interesting because this is a Happy Madison production film with Adam Sandler. It's so weird. So yeah, guys, you should really go see Pixels. I'm very curious as to read how you guys felt about this movie. So comment down below what you thought of this movie. Like the video, share it, and please subscribe to Pixel Talk if you haven't. Also, here's my Twitter down here, and also I want you to go follow my Facebook page for the Pixel Talk channel. I will put links down below, so yeah, go on Facebook and like the page. Please. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for checking out my review of Pixels. I am Corbin Stuckey, and this is Pixel Talk. Did you get it? Did you get that reference? You did? Perfect.